Let's start. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Om Jnanatinandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmikam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhuktam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavischa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vikantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savahritam Parijaram Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Bhagavan Sahagana Shri Vishakam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastite Tapta Kanchana Gaurani Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhani Sri Pariyani Hari Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhurya Evacha Patita Anam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Mukham karoti vachalam pangam nurayati vinyakti bhavanam Shri Guru Devataya Hare Krishna. So we are reading Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 16, the pastimes of the Lord in his childhood and youth. So we are on text 28. Joshnavati Ratri Prabhu Shishya Gana Sanghe Vashya Chena Ganga Tire Vidyara Prasanghe. Once on a full moon night, the Lord was sitting on the bank of the Ganges with his many disciples and discussing literary topics. Can you imagine this? Can you imagine this? Huh? Joshnavati. Joshnavati. So this is one minute. So that Joshnavati means full moon. Full moon night, Ratri. Joshnavati Ratri. So what can we imagine? What can we imagine?
Nimai Chandra sitting in the shade of full moon.
So
there are two moons.
Moon-like face. My grandma used to say, please open your video so we can see your moonlight. Chand Samukra, right? Is it possible?
Right now, no, Mataji. Whenever my baby sleeps, then I'll come to different room and then I'll open. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Okay. Tell me then. Just let me hear your lotus voice.
Oh no, Mataji.
Okay, tell me what it is.
I was saying that how Nimai Chandra, who's moon-like, is sitting in this beautiful moonlit night on the banks of Ganga. The Ganga water must be glistening like silver flowing. And with his star-like students, he's sitting and discussing nectarine literature.
Yes. So what we are saying is that once on a full moon night. So this is a village, right? This is a village. This village of Nadia. The Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who lives. So this is a village. And it's the Ganga So Ganga is flowing, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is sitting, meaning the moon is already out. So it's a full moon, so moon is already out. So he's sitting outside and with his many disciples. You remember, he became very famous. He went to Bangladesh. He preached there, so his fame spread. So he came back. So he's sitting on the banks of the Ganges. So just imagine this. So he's discussing Vidyara, Ganga Tire Vidyara Prasange. So he's discussing many literary topics. So different groups, when they meet, they discuss different things. So if you meet commercial people, business people, and when they sit together, they're going to speak business. And if you happen to be a literary person, then you feel uncomfortable, right? In that circle, you're only speaking, business. And if you start speaking of Bhagavatam, they feel, oh, we are not interested, right? So here, so this is a circle here, prasanga, vidyara, vidyara. So let's get that image proper because you're on Ganga, right? In the banks of the Ganga. There's so many beautiful pictures of Ganga. You know how this Ganga is very strong, extremely strong. So what's happening there? Hena kale digvijay tahani aila Gangare vandana kare prabhure milila. Hena kale, at this time, Digvijay Keshav Kashmiri. What happened? Coincidentally, so meaning at that same time, coincidentally, at the same time. So Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya, Nimai, okay? He's still Nimai. He's Nimai Pandit, a small boy. I think he was 11 years old or something. So he's sitting on the bank of the Ganga, and it's a beautiful moon, full moon. I like the word. What's that? Joshnavati. Joshna, meaning the moon is very full of Joshna, right? Jyoti, right? Just say the word. It says Joshna means light. So Joshnavati. Ratri is very poetic. A night which is fully illuminated, meaning it's the full moon, right? It's a night that is fully illuminated. And it's Ratri, it's night. So he's sitting there, so coincidentally, just that time, Keshav Kashmiri Pandit came there. While offering his prayers to Mother Ganges, Gangera, he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he came there. So by luck, he walked in there and he saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he came where he was sitting. I guess maybe he was seeking him out. I don't know. Vashela tare Prabhu adara kariya digvijay kahe mane avagya kariya. The Lord received him with adoration. So the Lord received him with adoration. I'm just trying something why I'm not getting it proper. The Lord received him with adoration, but because Keshav Kashmiri was very proud, he talked to the Lord very inconsiderately. Now just see. So here is Nimai Pandit. He's a small boy, right? So you know how boys, they're very polite, very courteous, isn't it? So he's 11 years old. And so he's very respectful. So the Lord received him with adoration, with Adar. Adar. What's the meaning of Adar?
Ador.
Adar with?
Ador. Ador means
Pet.
to pet. Ador kora. To pet.
It means?
बंगाली में आदर, हिंदी में आदर, आदर से मान सम्मान, आदर से
Man, samman, respect.
सम्मान,
Respectfully.
आदर, respectfully.
Yeah, Adar. Adar. So, Adar, meaning that it is with great respect. So, it's written here adoration, meaning great respect. But because Keshav Kashmiri was very proud, so he's 11-year-old, that boy, Nimai Pandit is 11-year-old boy. So naturally someone senior has come, right? And so he's going to be very respectful towards him. So he received him very well. But, Keshav Kashmiri, he's a big Vijay. So he said, oh, this insignificant boy. So he talked to them very inconsiderately.
Opogya.
Avagya. Disregard. Meaning, don't take him seriously. You know how you say bacha hai, right? You don't take him seriously. Whereas the boy is very respectful. But the big Vijay just saying, a boy. Avagya. So there is an offense in the chanting of the holy name, which uses this word, avagya. Which offense?
Guru Ravagya.
Yeah, Guru Ravagya. All right?
Fourth.
Yeah, third one.
Third.
Guru Ravagya. So with disregard. Text 31. Vyakarana paraha nimani panditatto maharanam balyashastre loke tumaro kahe gunagram. I understand that you are a teacher of grammar, he said, and that your name is Nimai Pandit. People speak very highly of your teaching of beginners grammar. All right. Formerly, Sanskrit schools first taught grammar very thoroughly. And this system continues even now. Thank God, Krishna's mercy. So, still continuing. A student was supposed to study grammar carefully for 12 years in the beginning of his life, because if one is expert in the grammar of the Sanskrit language, all the Shastras are open to him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was famous for teaching grammar to students, and therefore Keshav Kashmiri first referred to his position as a teacher of grammar. Keshav Kashmiri was very proud of his literary career. He was far above the first lessons of grammar, and so he thought the position of Nimai Pandit not at all comparable to his own. So we keep saying this, how in India, you know these small boys, when they are born, you can't believe what they are. So this Digvijay Keshav Kashmiri, he didn't know who he was dealing with. So I heard, people speak very highly of your teaching of beginners grammar. Balya Shastri, we teach Balya, Balak. Text 32. Vyakarana madhye jani parahas kala Shunilun Kankite Tamar Shishera Samlap. I understand that you teach Kala Vyakaran. I have heard that your students are very expert in the word jugglery of this grammar. Perfect. There are many schools of grammar in the Sanskrit language, the most famous of which are the systems of Panini and the Kalap and Kaumudi grammars. There were different branches of grammatical knowledge, and a student of grammar was supposed to study them all in 12 years. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was famous as Nimai Pandit, taught grammar to his students, who became expert in dealing with the word jugglery of complicated grammar. Almost anyone expert in studying grammar interprets the Shastras in many ways by changing the root meanings of their words. A student of grammar can sometimes completely change the meaning of a sentence by juggling grammatical rules. Keshav Kashmiri indirectly taunted Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by implying that although he was a great teacher of grammar, such grammatical jugglery of root meanings did not require great expertise. This was a challenge to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because it was prearranged that Keshav Kashmiri would have to discuss the Shastras with Nimai Pandit. From the very beginning, he wanted to block the Lord. Thus, the Lord replied as follows. Yes. Anupama Madhuri, can you read?
Yes, okay. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Text 33. प्रभु करे व्याकरण पढ़ाई अभिमान करी शिष्येता ना भुजे आमी बुझाइते नारी. Translation. The Lord said, yes, I am known as a teacher of grammar, but factually I cannot impress my students with grammatical knowledge, nor can they understand me very well. Purport. Since Keshav Kashmiri was a little puffed up, the Lord increased his artificial pride by presenting himself as subordinate to him. Thus he flattered him as follows. Text 34. कहाँ तुमी सर्वशास्त्रे कवित्वे प्रवीण कहामी सबेशिषु पदुया नवीन. Translation. My dear sir, whereas you are a very learned scholar in all sorts of scriptures and are very much experienced in composing poetry, I am only a boy, a new student, and nothing more. Text 35. तुम्हारा कवित्वा किछु सुनिते है मना कृपा करी करे यदि गंगारा वर्णना. Translation. Therefore, I desire to hear your skill in composing poetry. We could hear this if you would mercifully describe the glory of Mother Ganges. Text 36. सुनिया ब्राह्मणा गर्वे वर्णिता लागीला घटी एक शते श्लोका गंगारा वर्णीला. Translation. When the Brahmana Keshav Kashmiri heard this, he became still more puffed up, and within an hour he composed 100 verses describing Mother Ganges. Text 37. Suniya Karila Prabhu Bahuta Satkara Tumar Sama Prithvi Te Kavi Nahi Aara. Translation. The Lord praised him, saying, Sir, there is no greater poet than you in the entire world. Text 38. तुम्हारा कविता श्लोके भुजिते कार शक्ति तुम्ही भला जाना अर्था किम वा सरस्वती. Translation. Your poetry is so difficult that no one can understand it but you and Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. Purport. Replying to Keshav Kashmiri sarcastically, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu indirectly minimized the value of his poetry by saying, yes, your compositions are so nice that no one but you and your worshipable mother, the goddess of learning, can understand them. Keshav Kashmiri was a favorite devotee of Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the master of the goddess of learning, has the right to speak sarcastically of her devotees. In other words, although Keshav Kashmiri was proud of being favored by the goddess of learning, he did not know that she is controlled by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes, so this is, so your poetry is so difficult that no one can understand it. But you and no one but you and Mother Saraswati can understand it. Just heard one class, like the scientists, this thing of the scientists. So the same, so they go into so many intricacies of mathematics, atom and all that. And then you tell them, okay, now see, if in your laboratory or whatever you're observing something, you should be able to explain it so that the general mass of people can understand it. Otherwise, it's of no value. Just like Srila Prabhupada, if we speak for all of us, I think many of us, we have read many books, asked many questions, but Srila Prabhupada gave very simple answer, and therefore we were able to take and practice. So if philosophy works, when even though it is so complicated, highly complex, but if you are able to make it come to the level of the general public and they can practice, then you are a success. You are able to express a very difficult subject in simple language that your audience can understand. Right? So here, Nimai Pandit is saying, you are such a great Pandit. Your poetry is so difficult that no one except you and your Mother Saraswati can understand it. So what did you say? What you mean? What you said? Nobody get it. But people are so like bewildered. They will say, yes, yes, yes. He is a great poet. They didn't understand anything. So only those who are simple. So this is a boy, right? Nimai Pandit, he's a boy. See, I don't understand what you are saying. Right? Only you and your Mother Saraswati can understand. So only those who are simple, they can say, no, we can't understand what you are saying. The general population, in order not to look like fools, they say, yes, yes, very great. Is it true? Yeah, true. You go in an assembly, right? Somebody makes a presentation, and then you don't want to look a fool in front of everybody who say, I didn't understand, right? So you will let it go, let it pass as if he has spoken very nicely. So here, being a little boy, he just said, your poetry is Tamara Kavita Shloka Bhujite Kara Shakti.
আর শক্তি তুমি ভালো জানো
Tumi Bhala
ভালো মানে
Jana Artha Kimva Saraswati.
orange.
It's only you and Mother Saraswati can understand what you said. Yeah. Now, Indira Radha, you want to read?
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Text 39. Ekashlokerartha yadi karat nijamukhe suni sabalokatave paiva vada sufe. But if you explain the meaning of one verse, we can all hear it from your mouth, from your own mouth, and thus be very happy. The Vedic Vijaya Vyakyara Shloka Puchila Sata Slokeva Eka Shloka Prabhuta Padila. The Digvijay Keshav Kashmiri inquired which verse he wanted explained. The Lord then recited one of the 100 verses Keshav Kashmiri had composed. Mahatmavam Dandaya Satatam Nidam Abhatti Nitaram Yad Esha Shri Vishnu Charana Kamalotpati Subhagga Vijaya Shri Lakshmi Ivasura Narer Archacharana Bhavani Bharpur Yashirasi Vibhavati Adbhut Guna. The greatness of Mother Ganges always brilliantly exists. She is the most fortunate because she emanated from the lotus feet of Sri Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. She is a second goddess of fortune, and therefore she is always worshipped both by demigods and by humanity. Endowed with all the wonderful qualities, she flourishes on the head of Lord Shiva. Ei shlokeva artakara Prabhu yadi bela Vishmitahana Digvijay Prabhure Puchila. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him to explain the meaning of this verse, the champion, very much astonished, inquired from him as follows. Janjavatta Praya Ami Shloka Padila Tara Madhye Shloka Tumi Kaiche Tankanti Kaila. I recited all the verses like the blowing wind. How could you completely learn by heart even one of among those verses?
Yeah, Jhanjhavat, the strong wind of a storm. Jhanjhavat Prai Parila. In the middle of all this, how could you pick up one and you remembered it? Right? Kante Kaila. How did you remember by heart? Kante Kaila. You could recite by heart what I said, and I spoke 100 verses at the speed of a storm, the wind of a storm. But you picked out one from it. Anupama Mishra.
Hare Krishna. Text 44. प्रभु कहे देवर वरे तुम्ही कविवर ऐचे देवर वरे के कहो हाय श्रुति धारा. The Lord replied, by the grace of the Lord, someone may become a great poet. And similarly, by his grace, someone else may become a great Shruti Dhara, who can memorize anything immediately. Purport: in this connection, Shruti Dhara is a very important word. Shruti means hearing, and Dhara means one who can capture. Formerly, before the beginning of Kali Yuga, almost everyone, especially among the intelligent men, the Brahmanas, was a Shrutidhara. As soon as a student heard any of the Vedic wisdom from his master, he would remember it forever. There was no need to refer to books, and therefore there were no written books in those days. The spiritual master delivered the Vedic hymns and their explanations to the student, who would then remember them forever without consulting books. To become a Shrutidhara, one who can remember simply by hearing, is a great achievement for a student. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord 10.41, the Lord says, Yat yat vibhutimat sattvam Srimad Urjitam evava Tattat eva vagaccha tvam mama tejomsa sambhavam. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. As soon as we find anything extraordinary, we should understand that such an extraordinary manifestation is the special grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied to the champion Keshav Kashmiri that just as he was greatly proud of being a favorite devotee of Mother Saraswati, so someone else, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, being favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could become a Shrutidhara and thus memorize anything immediately simply by hearing.
Yes, this is the Shruti Dhara. So Prabhupada is explaining about, so you've heard this word before, right? Shruti Dhara. Shruti Dhara, meaning we hear once, see, there are different ways by which you can become Shruti Dhara. Previously, we thought there were no books, meaning that people were illiterate and backward and uncivilized, right? That's what people thought. But actually, you don't need books, meaning because you can remember, right? So you don't need the book. So books is just an aid. So meaning that Shrutidhar, beside remembering like the shlokas, etc., it is also once you have heard from your spiritual master, you don't forget that instruction. You follow this? It has happened to some of you that you heard something and you never forgot it. It has happened, right? You heard, and it just stays with you your entire life. So this is Shriti. Sometimes, you get close and said, where is it? Show me where is it? Where is it? Everything, there has to be a reference. Now, you've heard and you remember, but you can't go and open all the books to show exactly which canto, which chapter, which text, but you have heard it and you have captured it properly. I'm not saying distorted capture, but you have heard properly and you never forget it. You're saying, yes, Amrita Radhe, is it true?
Madhaji, in my experience, I just feel that something which I have heard, whenever the time is right, then it comes to me. It's not that I remember it forever.
Yeah.
So I'm not definitely Shruti there, but yeah.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that when there is a slight inclination, a slight impulse, right? An impulse, right? So it pops up from your memory and you capture it. This is possible only if you're listening attentively, right? If we are not listening attentively, it will just go over our head. Like I watch a movie without seeing anything. Right? So attentive hearing is the key to remembering. All right. So who's reading now? Who's reading? Shashi? Okay, Anupama Mishra. You read? You read? Okay, so Devhuti. Please
Text
switch
45, Hare
off your
Krishna.
video. I get confused, When you keep moving on my screen, I don't know who's next.
Text 45. श्लोकेर अर्थ कोइला विप्र पाइया संतोष प्रभु कहे कहा श्लोकेर की गुण दोष. Translation. Satisfied by the statement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Brahmana Keshav Kashmiri explained the quoted verse. Then the Lord said, now kindly explain the special qualities and faults in this verse. Purport. Not only did Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pick out this one among 100 verses and remember it, although the Brahmana had recited them like a blowing wind, but he also analyzed its qualities and faults. Not only did he hear the verse, but he immediately made a critical study of it. विप्र कहे श्लोकेर नाही दोषेर आभास उपमा उपमा लौन कर उपमा लौं करो उपमा लौं करो गुण किछु अनुप्रास. The Brahman replied, there is not a tinge of fault in that verse. Rather, it has good qualities of similes and alliterations. In the last line of the verse quoted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the letter Bha is repeated many times, as in the words Bhavani, Bhartur, Vibhavati, and Adbhut. Such repetitions is called Onuprasha or alliterations. The word Lakshmir Iva and Vishnur Charana Kamalopati are instances of Upama Alankar. for they exhibit metaphorical beauty. The Ganges is water, and Lakshmi is the goddess of fortune. Since water and a person are not actually similar, the comparison is metaphorical. প্রভু কহে কাহি যদি না করো রোষ কহ তোমার এই শ্লোকে কিবা আছে দোষ Translation. The Lord said, My dear sir, I may say something to you. If you will not become angry, can you explain the faults in this verse? প্রতিবার কাব্য তোমার দেবতা সন্তোষে ভলো মতে বিচারিলে জানি গুণ দোষে Translation. There is no doubt that your poetry is full of ingenuity, and certainly it has satisfied the Supreme Lord. Yet, if we scrutinizingly consider it, we can find both the good qualities and faults. তাতে ভলো করি শ্লোক কারো বিচার কবি কহে এ কহিলে সেই বেদ সার Translation. The Lord concluded, Now, therefore, let us carefully scrutinize this verse. The poet replied, Yes, the verse you have recited is perfectly correct.
Yes, so now this Brahmana, Keshav Kashmiri, so there's not a tinge of fault in that verse. This is very typical of us, Like we do some work and we are successful, everybody is praising us, become very famous, we have conquered everybody is a champion, he's a Dig Vijay, This is a champion in the Sanskrit language and Sanskrit composition. So there's not a tinge of fault. He was very sure. Rather, it has the good qualities of similes and alliteration, meaning, what's that? Anuprasa Upama Alankar. Upama Alankar. So, like poetic descriptions, beauty, like make something beautiful through poetry. So here Mahaprabhu saying, my dear sir, Prabhu kahena, kahi yadi na karaharos, don't become angry. Right? If you're going to correct somebody and here's this small boy, he has to speak to a big Vijay, right? I said, Prabhu, please don't become angry. Everybody knows that. If somebody tells us our fault, immediate reaction, we are angry. Immediate. I remember when we were doing our teachers training course. Teachers training course means that, so you teach and all your students are in front of you, all right? And we are all together. So we had to be trained how not to react when the other students are going to give feedback to me on my teaching. Because naturally, like as soon as you say one thing, the other person will kick back. You didn't understand what I said this, Feedback is so difficult to be taken. Extremely difficult to be taken. So therefore Mahaprabhu is saying, my dear sir, kahi yadi na karaha ros. Please don't become angry. Just see, this is the human nature. It is human nature, and it will not change so long as we have this ahankara. This is to be learned here. So here's these are among teachers. Nimai Pandit is a small teacher, Balya Shastra, right? Balya Shastra This Nimai Pandit says your Balya Shastra. So, but he's a Balya Shastra, he's small, and this one's a big Vijay. Now this Bala is going to say something. He said, please don't become angry. Can I say it? So the Lord concluded, now let us carefully scrutinize this verse. So first thing, he appreciated him. So again, in our feedback lesson we were given, before you give a feedback, you should appreciate the person. So here's a lesson, in teaching and giving feedback. There's no doubt that your poetry is full of ingenuity, pratibhara, and certainly it has satisfied the Supreme Lord Kavya Tomara Devata Santosh. Yes, it has satisfied the Supreme Lord. Yet, oh, what now? He has praised very nicely, so positive. Now he's going to give a feedback and we'll conclude also, positively. This is how we were told to give a feedback. Yet, if we scrutinizingly consider it, we can find both good qualities and faults. If we scrutinizingly consider it, we can find both good qualities and faults. So now, the poet, he was like pacified. He said, you have recited, the verse you have recited is perfectly correct. Meaning, see, now he's a Digvijay. He's not a small person. He himself, he could remember his 100 verses because he composed those verses in 1 hour. Is that a small thing? You just sit down. He was in front of this little boy, and he's in front of the Ganga, and he is within 1 hour, he composed 100 verses, and he himself remembers what he composed. Meaning he's not an ordinary person, right? Do we appreciate that? Right? So we say, yes, the verse you have recited is perfectly correct. It's not that, he wrote some verse and he was by-hearted it and then he was, sitting with his paper, right? So he's indeed a Digvijay. All right, who's reading? Rashmi, you can read now. 50.
Yes, Mataji. व्याकरणीय तुम्ही नाही पढ़ अलंकार तुम्ही की जानिबे ए कवित्वे रसार. You are an ordinary student of grammar. What do you know about literary embellishments? You cannot review this poetry because you do not know anything about it. Keshav Kasmiri first wanted to bluff Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by saying that since he was not an advanced student in literary style, he could not review a verse full of metaphors and literary ornaments. This argument has some basis in fact. Unless one is a medical man, one cannot criticize a medical man. And unless one is a lawyer, he cannot criticize a lawyer. Therefore, Keshav Kashmiri first depreciated the Lord's position. Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to the champion a student of grammar, how could he dare criticize a great poet like him? Lord Chaitanya therefore criticized the poet in a different way. He said that although he was certainly not advanced in a literary career, he had heard from others how to criticize such poetry. And as a Shrutidhara, possessing a complete memory, he could understand the process of such a review.
Just see how Nimai Pandit responded. He said, no, I'm not qualified. I haven't studied, but I have heard others how they analyze and offer, like, be a critic of poem. So therefore, I'm going to repeat it. I mean, we can say that for all of us, right? All of us who are here, right? I keep saying we're not scholars, but we have heard, right? We have heard, Prabhupada speaking, we have heard others speaking. And therefore, when we are speaking, basically, we are just repeating what we have heard from others. So this is a correct position, even though we are not greatly advanced. Very nice. Yes. Continue.
प्रभु कहे न अतैव पूछिए तोमार विचारिय गुण दोष भुजाह आमार. Taking a humble position, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, because I am not of your level, I have asked you to teach me by explaining the faults and qualities in your poetry. नाही पडी अलंकार करियाची श्रवण ताते श्लोके देखी बहु दोष गुण. Certainly, I have not studied the art of literary embellishments, but I have heard about it from higher circles, and thus I can review this verse and will find in it many faults and many good qualities. The statement, Kari Yachi Shravan, I have heard it, is very important in the sense that hearing is very important than directly studying or perceiving. If one is expert in hearing and hears from the right source, his knowledge is immediately perfect. This process is called Shrot Pantha, or the acquirement of knowledge by hearing from authorities. All Vedic knowledge is based on the principle that one must approach a bona fide spiritual master and hear from the authoritative statements of the Vedas. It is not necessary for one to be a highly polished literary man to receive knowledge. To receive perfect knowledge from a perfect person, one must be expert in hearing. This is called the descending process of deductive knowledge or avaroha pantha.
Right. Oh, we've already discussed this. Yes, Shashi, you want to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji. कवि काहे कहा देखे कौन गुना दोषा प्रभु कहने काहि सुना ना करी है रोषा. The poet said, all right, let me see what good qualities and faults you have found. The Lord replied, let me speak, and please hear me without becoming angry. पंचदोषा ए श्लोका पंच अलंकारा क्रांति आम्ही कही सुना कारह विचारा. My dear sir, in this verse there are 5 faults and 5 literary ornaments. I shall state them one after another. Kindly hear me and then give your judgment. In the verse beginning with Mahatvam Gangaya, there are 5 literary ornaments and 5 examples of faulty composition. There are 2 examples of the fault called Avimrasta, Vidhyamsa, and 1 example each of the fault Virudmati, Punar Ukti, and Bhagna Krama. Vimrasta means clean and Vidhyamsa means predicate. It is a general rule of composition to establish a subject first and then give its predicate. For example, according to Sanskrit grammar, if one says, this man is learned, his composition is in order. But if one says, learned is this man, the composition is not in order. Such a flow is called avimrasta, vidhimsa, dosa, or the fault of unclean composition. The subject matter to be known of the verse is the glorification of the Ganges, and therefore the word idam, this, or what is known, should have been placed before instead of after the glorification. The subject matter already known should be placed before the unknown so that its meaning will not be misconstrued. The second instance of amimstha, vidhyamsa dosha, occurs in the word Dvitya Shri Lakshmir Iva. In this composition, the word Dvitya, second, is Vidheya or unknown. Placing the unknown first to make the compound word Dvitya Shri Lakshmi is another fault.
The words Dvitya Sri Lakshmi Eva were intended to compare the Ganges to the goddess fortune, but because of this fault, the meaning of the compound word was bewildering. The third fault is that of Viruddhamati, or contradictory conception, in the words Bhavni Bhartu, Bhavni Bhartu. The word Bhavani refers to the wife of Bhava, Lord Shiva. But since Bhavani is already known as the wife of Lord Shiva, to add the word Bharta, husband, thus forming a compound meaning, the husband of the wife of Lord Shiva, is contradictory. For thus it appears as if the wife of Lord Shiva had another husband. The fourth fault is punar ukti, or redundancy, which occurs when the verb vibhavati flourishes, which should have ended the composition, is further qualified by the unnecessary adjective adbhuta guna, endowed with wonderful qualities. The fifth fault is bhagna krama, which means broken order. In the first, third, and fourth lines, there is anuprasha, or alliteration, treated by the sounds ta, ra, and bha. But in the second line, there is no such anuprasha, and therefore the order is broken.
My God, this is all grammar, okay? And I can't make head or tail of it. But those of you who know grammar, you can sit with pen and paper. You can examine this. Frankly speaking, I never liked grammar. I don't know how I learned speaking, writing and speaking. I never liked grammar. So I have to pass over all this. So if somebody, some of you,
But it's interesting to know the sentence. It's interesting when Srila Prabhupada says, thus forming a compound meaning the husband of the wife of Lord Shiva is contradictory.
yes.
Oh, that appears as if the wife of Lord Shiva had another husband. Something like that.
Yeah. Bhavani Bharta. Bhavani Bharta. So Bhavani means, who is Bhavani? The wife of Lord
That's
Shiva.
Durga.
Right?
Yeah.
Bhavani, then Bharta meaning so husband.
Husband.
So the husband of Bhavani meaning
Of the wife of
the husband of Bhavani. She said twice you're saying it, right? So meaning that she has another husband. Like how these, this is how there was, oh God, I don't know who it was. I think there was some contest. Maybe you remember who it is. So this one person, I think it was just a small boy, maybe Yamunacharya, it was that lineage. So there was the court Pandit. So his father couldn't answer, and there was a high penalty on the father. So the son went. So he asked some question. So one of the question was that, my mother is barren. I said, my mother is barren. So the Pandit has to like defeat this, my mother's barren. How is it mother's barren? And then the king's wife is unchaste. Something like that. So how can he tell the king no? Chaste or unchaste? Anyway, something tricky like that. I think maybe it's in the story of Ramanujacharya. So then this boy, that's how he defeated that Pandit and he became, anyway, he won the throne of that king. He says, if you have only one child, you're considered barren. Right? This is the meaning. This is how intricate it is. And the other two, I forgot exactly what it was. But so it's like this. So it's the same style, which is, just not something that I've studied or understand, but we take this one, Bhavani Bharata. And the fourth one is Punarayukti or redundancy, which occurs when the word Vibhavati flourishes, which should have ended the conversation, is further qualified a good guna. Vibhavati means already with so many wonderful qualities. So it's extra. Bhagana Kram, broken order. In the first, third, and fourth line, there is an anuprasha or alliteration created by the sounds ta, ra, and bha. But in the second line, there is no anuprasha, and therefore the order is broken. We can get a little idea, right? All right, okay. We have complete this. Let us just see where it stops. I think it's going to go on and go on. So this is all grammar that's going into it. So let us all study and take pen and paper and read, and then we'll find it more interesting. Yes, Samrita, they don't ask me any question on grammar. I can't reply.
No, no, Mataji, not about grammar, but I was thinking that this aspect of Keshav Kashmiri getting angry when his fault is being pointed out, it seems so natural and human because we have seen everybody in that position getting, annoyed or upset. So then, how do pure devotees, or how do, yeah, pure devotees mainly get over this habit and, become so tolerant and
My God.
how do we get there basically?
Yes, so we have to eat up our ahankar, right? It's like instinct. It's absolutely instinct, that you just touch and immediately there is a, live fire. So we have to practice so we don't become angry when somebody tells us our fault. And also, we have to become faultless. Anyway, this is just personal opinion. We have to become faultless in the sense of no kam, krodh, lobha, moha, matsarya, mad. We have to become faultless in this. Kam, krodh, lobha, moha, matsarya, mad. And it starts with kama, meaning this desire to be, we say lust, profit, distinction, and adoration. These are subtle ones, or gross weights, more like his possessions. So if we are able to, be a servant of Krishna and ready to accept correction from others, especially seniors. The worst thing is that when seniors want to correct us, we are not able to take it, then we are great losers. We are really great losers. So that's why, anyway, what to do here, this Keshav Kashmiri, I'm sure he was a super good student in his Gurukul when he learned. Otherwise, he wouldn't have learned like this. But we'll find at the end of this whole episode, when he was humiliated. Yeah, that's what happened. He was humiliated. Finally, he accepted his fault. And when he accepted his fault, we read somewhere he became one acharya in the Nimbarka Sampradaya, right?
Yes,
So meaning
yes,
he managed to overcome his pride. Yeah, it's a practice. It's a practice. It's willingly, giving up our ahankar. Yeah.
okay, mother. So basically, can we say that we have to replace our false ahankar of being someone scholarly or whatever it is that we think we are, and replace it with, as you said, being a servant of Krishna, and just try to swallow in the corrections that come our way?
You see, it's like if my goal is to go back home, back to Godhead, like I'm just remembering Bhakti Tirtha Swami, speak of Shrutidhar, and you say it pops up, right? So Bhakti Tirtha Swami, he said, let whatever it takes to make him become pure, right? Meaning that whatever, so that's how the student come in front of Guru, meaning correct me, let me accept that you tell me my faults because I want to become pure. So if I have that attitude, then it doesn't hurt because you actually want to know so that you can change. But if we have come not very sincerely, we are like lukewarm in our attempt of Krishna consciousness. We are actually lukewarm. Then, everything bothers me. Everybody bothers me. But if I have come to learn and be corrected, if I have actually come as a disciple, come to learn, then I will welcome being taught. You actually welcome being told. And you want to be told. So I guess it's a question of our evolution, in the path of Krishna consciousness. So it's a question of where we've reached in our evolution. And now we are hearing all this so that we are aware, right? Why is it in Chaitanya Charitamrita? Is it just, for us to have it fun of a Digvijay? It is, to teach us. Right? We all like to speak about this pastime, but actually, now that we are studying it, right? That's what we are doing. We are studying each and every emotion, the whole interaction, the culture of the exchange, right? So, meaning that we are to learn that if we are to be corrected, what is the proper attitude? So, even if we start off on the wrong foot, so after being corrected, if I accept and I surrender, then my path is open. If I hold, just hold. Look. Then we are very unfortunate. Is it okay?
Yes, Mataji. Now I feel basically we have to change our attitude towards Krishna consciousness. We should not be lukewarm. We should rather want purification, as you were quoting Bhakti Tirth Maharaj, and then we'll become more receptive to corrections, hopefully. This
Yes,
is what I understand. Thank you, Mataji.
Shrutidhar, right? Amrita Radhe, she's Shrutidhar. In just 1 second, she repeated everything that I spoke in 5-10 minutes.
Oh no, Mataji, I need blessings of all the devotees. Thank you.
So because she listened divine, even her closed camera, she's still listening. All right, okay, thank you very much.
Hare
Hare Krishna.